A fish with its mouth closed doesn't get caught. Simple image, brutal lesson. Silence is a strategy. Turn off your flashlight. In the dark forest of money, light attracts predators, and the loudest signal of success is often the map to where to find you. This is the premise behind the one sentence that should change how you talk about money. What you keep to yourself can compound into your greatest advantage. Today, we're unpacking the shocking 5 financial secrets Warren Buffett wants you to keep quiet, not because they're glamorous, but because they work as armor. These are practical, behavior-focused rules that protect your relationships, your opportunities, and the returns you actually keep. Before we go on, if you want more tactical money strategies, hit subscribe. I release practical guides every week. Here's how this will run. I'll introduce each secret, show what breaks if you leak it, give you a short everyday illustration, and then a one-line tactical rule you can start practicing today. This is about strategic privacy, not deceit. Keep in mind, privacy is legal and prudent. Hiding assets or evading obligations is not. This is about discipline, not dishonesty. The dark forest and the crab bucket. Imagine wealth as walking through a dense night forest with a flashlight. Every beam tells someone where you are. Sometimes those people are neutral. Sometimes they are hungry. Other times, the light convinces your own path to go sideways. Envy, demands, and distorted expectations pull at you like hands reaching in the dark. The forest is full of predators. The contractor who charges more because he thinks you can pay, the friend who assumes you'll cover the bill, the cousin who suddenly has business ideas. The forest is also full of crab bucket behavior. When one crab tries to climb out, the others pull it back down. Public success invites pulling. Information is a currency. In markets, the less others know about your edge and constraints, the more room you have to maneuver. Sun Tzu taught that concealment confers advantage. Modern investors call it managing information asymmetry. Both mean the same thing. You want to choose when, how, and to whom you reveal your moves. Silence is not cowardice, it's leverage. Secret 1, protect your number. Don't reveal precise net worth. Rule, never disclose your exact net worth outside a spouse and trusted professionals. What breaks if you leak it? As soon as people treat you as a number, you become an ATM. Friends and acquaintances recalibrate expectations. Service providers price for what they think you can pay rather than the fair market. Scams and predatory schemes find targets faster. Family relationships can fray under the weight of assumed entitlement. Even casual social interactions change. A dinner becomes a negotiation, not a conversation. The audit trap. When others know the number, you enter a different economy. Price discrimination is the market force at work. Businesses and contractors may vary what they charge you based on perceived ability to pay. If your neighbor hears you have a high net worth, the roofer might not show you the cheap estimate. He shows you the premium package and describes it as standard. This happens because once you're pegged, your bargaining leverage dwindles. Illustration. A homeowner I know quietly renovated a bathroom. He didn't post photos, didn't mention the project to neighbors. The contractor quoted a fair price. Contrast that with another homeowner across town who casually mentioned his wealth at a barbecue. That contractor's next bid was $5,000 higher, described as the level you'd expect for your neighborhood. The numbers were real. The differences came from perception, not cost. Tactical rule: be vague about amounts. Share ranges if needed, enough to be comfortable, and emphasize liquidity constraints if questioned. Use phrases like not liquid or complicated estate to dissuade opportunism. When pressed, redirect to your values or goals instead of raw figures. The fewer specific digits circulating, the less you'll be taxed by social friction. Secret 2. Announce results, not intentions. Keep your next moves private rule. Don't broadcast plans until they're irreversible or completed. What breaks if you leak it? Saying the plan aloud turns intention into a public event. Premature celebration is real. Telling others about a goal manipulates your dopamine system, making the brain treat the plan as already achieved. That weakens follow-through. Beyond psychology, leaking plans invites sabotage. Competitors, co-workers, or opportunistic partners may pick off your idea, replicate it faster, or nudge you off course. Even well-meaning people can create friction when they inject opinions into your nascent plans. Premature celebration and sabotage aren't just cliches, they're predictable human behaviors. When you speak of an ambition, two things commonly happen. Your own internal discipline softens, and outside actors gain the chance to react. In markets, traders call this leakage. If your next trade is visible, it moves prices against you before you finish. Illustration: think of a small business owner who publicly announced an expansion into a niche market. Months of preparation were interrupted by competitors who heard the plan and launched earlier, sometimes with deeper pockets. The original founder lost pricing power because his edge had leaked. On a personal level, imagine telling colleagues you aim for a promotion. Suddenly you're under a microscope, small mistakes become magnified, and your sponsors shift their calculus. Tactical rule: keep plans to a tight circle until they are executed. Publish results, not intentions. Treat every announcement as a permanent change to the game board. Secret 3. Guard your edge. Don't reveal your strategy or alpha rule. Never disclose the core of what makes you profitable. What breaks if you leak it? Profitability often relies on information asymmetry or an execution advantage. Sharing the recipe dilutes the edge. Markets are efficient in aggregate. If everyone uses the same nuanced advantage, the benefit disappears. Public knowledge compounds competition, and competition taxes returns. The efficient market idea means when information becomes public, price moves and opportunity shrinks. Explain price discrimination briefly. Sellers charge different prices to different buyers based on what they believe each buyer will accept. Your revealed wealth or strategy lets others segment you and capture surplus from you. Illustration: consider the Coca-Cola example in a different key. The recipe is a protected, guarded advantage. If the formula were public, everyone could make a version, and the specialness and pricing power would vanish. In investing terms, your edge might be a proprietary screening method, a timing signal, or an operational insight you've developed over years. If you teach every element step by step without guardrails, you've turned your differentiator into a public commodity. Be careful with teaching. If you're an advisor or educator, there's value in sharing principles without handing over the full operating manual. Think of giving someone a map, but not your coordinates. Tactical rule: share principles, not the recipe. When mentoring or educating, protect the implementation details that produce benefit. Practice: teach the concept, not the checklist. Secret 4. quiet wills, quiet lives. Don't make inheritance promises public. Rule. Avoid telling family the size or specifics of what you'll leave. Leave clear instructions to executors, not spreadsheets at the dinner table. What breaks if you leak it? The expectation of inherited wealth corrodes motivation and fractures family dynamics. Children who expect a payout may calibrate educational, career, and relationship choices differently, sometimes to their long-term detriment. Sibling relationships can sour into transactional bargaining. Public promises make estate disputes and emotional taxation more likely. The psychology here is subtle. Expectation is a powerful force that shapes behavior long before any asset transfers. If a child believes their security is guaranteed, they may stop seeking competence. If one sibling perceives favoritism, resentment grows. Money spoken about in the present becomes a currency that complicates love. Illustration. A family I followed for years kept estate conversations off the table. The patriarch drafted clear instructions, worked with impartial trustees, and communicated values instead of numbers. The family remained relatively cohesive even after transfers. Contrast that with a household where the grandparent casually told grandchildren exact dollar figures over holidays. That family later endured lawsuits and a series of fractured relationships. The wealth didn't buy peace. It bought paperwork and painful conversations. Tactical rule. Communicate values, not figures. Document intentions with trusted professionals and executors, but don't leave spreadsheets as dinner table conversation. Use trusts and legal instruments to manage expectations without making your family dependent on knowledge. Secret 5. Practice quiet charity. Don't broadcast every good deed. Rule. Make most charitable acts private. Let giving be part of your inner scorecard. What breaks if you leak it? Publicizing charity shifts the act from altruism to performance. Once a donation becomes a public signal, it invites virtue signaling, selective reciprocity, and sometimes less effective giving. It also exposes you to pressure to give more in the future for the sake of reputation. In social media culture, the line between generosity and branding blurs. The inner reward of giving, humility, reflection, community impact, is cheapened when filtered for applause. Inner scorecard versus outer scorecard. The inner scorecard is your private standard. What you do because it matters to you. The outer scorecard is how others judge you. Letting the outer scorecard dominate leads to performative generosity. Big gestures for the photo op, not the outcome. That's not only socially corrosive, it's often less impactful. Illustration. A philanthropist quietly funded literacy programs without fanfare. The community benefited and the project scaled because the work happened without distraction. Another donor made large publicized contributions tied to naming rights and press events. The impact sometimes followed, but the giving also became a marketing line item, pressurized by the expectation to outdo the last charitable spectacle. Tactical rule. Make most of your giving anonymous or low profile. When public recognition is useful to the cause, calibrate the publicity to the impact, not to your profile. Prioritize effectiveness over applause. Microhooks along the way. Here's what happens the moment you say the number out loud. People reprice you. One sentence you should never say at dinner with friends. I have X in the bank. How a contractor can charge you $5,000 more and you won't notice depends on assumptions you leave uncorrected. a few practical clarifications. Privacy is not dishonesty. You can be truthful with necessary parties, spouses, accountants, trustees, while remaining circumspect publicly. The point is careful disclosure, not deception. Legal and tax obligations must be met. This advice sits squarely in the realm of prudence. Don't conceal to evade law or obligations. Cultural context matters. In some social circles, full disclosure is expected, and non-disclosure can create suspicion. Use judgment appropriate to your community. Behavioral armor, one-line habits to adopt now. For each secret, pick one habit and practice it relentlessly until it becomes default. Secret 1 habit: when asked about finances, answer with a value or priority instead of numbers. I'm focused on legacy and options. Or, we keep our finances private. Secret 2 habit: build a habit of announcing outcomes, not plans. Replace I'm going to do X with I'm working quietly on X and will share results. Secret 3 habit: when mentoring, teach frameworks and mental models. Redact the step-by-step implementation that forms your edge. Secret 4 habit: talk about the story you want to leave, not the check. Values over amounts. Secret 5 habit: make a portion of your philanthropy anonymous or delegate publicity to the causes, not to your name. Anticipate the social costs of silence. Some will label you aloof or secretive. People may say, "Why won't you share?" That's okay. Strategic silence invites questions, and that's a feature, not a bug. The point isn't social popularity. The point is reducing the number of vectors where your resources can be extracted. This is where the crab bucket effect circles back. The loud person invites enmity, comparison, and even attempts to pull them down. The quiet person preserves the climb. Quietness doesn't automatically mean asceticism. It means disciplined messaging. Tactical examples to practice immediately. The contractor scenario. Before you schedule work, ask 3 contractors for written quotes and avoid telling them who referred you. If asked about status, answer, "We're comparing options," instead of "We're renovating the whole house." The promotion scenario. If you want a role at work, never make your application a public campaign. Secure advocates privately and let your results and endorsements carry the conversation. The investment trade. Execute without fanfare. If you manage a personal position, avoid broadcasting your thesis on social platforms until your timeline is complete. Public theses invite copycats and front-running. What about social media? Social media is the flashlight in the forest. Curated displays of wealth are appetizers for predatory attention. They also calibrate expectations among friends and family. You can use social platforms for business, for cause-raising, or for connection, but treat displays of wealth as strategic choices with real costs. Before posting, ask, who benefits and who is now informed about my situation? The moral hazard of sharing creates moral hazard in relationships. It can convert mutual support into entitlement. When you tell someone you'll help, the request becomes an expectation. When you tell many people that you're comfortable, each seeks a share. The solution is not coldness, it's boundaries and deliberate generosity, guided by the inner scorecard. Small guardrails that scale. Use a single point of contact for requests. A family office, a trusted assistant, or a specific professional. That creates a filter. Build a culture of telling and not telling. Make it normal in your family to respect privacy. Practice non-answer scripts that are polite but firm. These are like firewall rules. I prefer to keep that private. I can share the outcome later. Make legal arrangements, trusts, clear wills, and designated executors so that your intentions are enforceable without emotional bargaining. Edge protection without paranoia. Guarding your edge doesn't require paranoia. It requires humility and process. Assume that public knowledge dilutes advantage and design processes to minimize leakage. That might mean reduced social commentary, compartmentalized teams, or limited disclosures in boardrooms. Teach the concept, not the recipe. If you want to build a legacy of learning, pass on principles, not shortcuts. Teach patience, risk management, and discipline. Those traits are portable. Specific tactics often require fresh judgment for new markets and can be misapplied if removed from context. A caution about fame brings particular costs. Public recognition allows you to scale influence, but it also converts every action into a line item for critics to score. If your goal is scale and influence, then publicity is part of strategy. If your goal is compound advantage and quiet wealth accumulation, fame is a tax on freedom. A framework you can repeat. Call it the shadow code. Repeat these 5 lines to yourself until they stick. Secret 1, protect your number. Secret 2, announce results, not intentions. Secret 3, guard your edge. Secret 4, quiet wills, quiet lives. Secret 5, practice quiet charity. Each line is a behavioral lever. Pull one and you change the incentives around you. The inner scorecard wins Warren Buffett-style wisdom. If you'll allow the shorthand, prizes an inner scorecard over external applause. The people who accumulate advantage quietly often do so by aligning their actions to internal standards, discipline, patience, and prudence. Loudness often masks insecurity. Quietness is a form of self-control. Let your balance sheet and relationships show the results. 2 caveats to keep in mind. First, this is a playbook for strategic privacy, not for evasion. Abide by laws, register what you must, and pay your obligations. Second, adapt these rules to your social and cultural context. Absolute secrecy in a close-knit family may cause harm if misapplied. The goal is thoughtful application, not extreme isolation. Put it into practice, a 30-day privacy challenge. If you want a concrete exercise, try this. For 30 days, practice one habit tied to each secret. Don't post financial details. Keep a plan private. Redact one process you would normally share. Refrain from discussing inheritance details. Make at least one charitable act anonymously. Track the social feedback and how your interactions change. You'll notice fewer requests, calmer conversations, and a small but meaningful shift in how people engage with you. Why this matters for compounding advantage wealth compounds when opportunities are preserved and friction is minimized. Every time someone treats you differently because of perceived wealth, you pay a cost, emotional, relational, or financial. Silence compounds by reducing those costs. It's not mystery for the sake of mystique. It's a strategy that protects optionality. Final synthesis. The quiet strategy beats the loud wager. People often mistake visibility for strength, but loudness attracts competition, parasites, and unrealistic expectations. Quietness preserves your options, keeps costs down, and protects the human relationships that matter most. The 5 secrets are not betrayals of generosity or openness. They're methods for ensuring that your generosity and openness actually land where they're intended. If this resonates, download the 1-page shadow code checklist. in the description to start protecting your wealth today. Subscribe and share if you'd rather let your results do the talking. Remember, the forest is dark. Your flashlight can show the way or show someone where to follow. Keep your mouth closed like the fish that survives. Let quiet be your greatest compounder.